Hey everyone, Becca here from Inside the Square. Just gonna check my microphone here. Hopefully y'all can hear me. If you're queuing in live, I see we've got like 8 people here. Could you let me know if you can hear me okay? Sorry to everyone who's watching the replay. This is just the annoying part about getting started with going live. Hopefully my microphone is working. I'm not really seeing the dot change too much, so let's give this a double check. System settings. All right, I think we are good to go. Everyone got a thumbs up for me? You can hear me okay and we're solid? Cool. If that's the case, we are going to get started. Hello, good morning. Awesome. Thank you for joining me live or watching this replay. I sincerely appreciate you being here. I am stoked to be talking about Squarespace Courses, one of the newest updates from Squarespace. I just got back from Circle Day last week. I'm back in the Pacific Northwest, but I was in the New York office learning about all of the cool things Squarespace is doing for Circle Day in person. It was super fun. And I got to meet the brains behind the courses program. So I had this wonderful opportunity to interact with them. We, as a Squarespace Circle group in a workshop, sat down and worked through some of the courses features together, talked about some of the cool things that we'd like to see this update develop into, some new design options, some content styles. It was a really fascinating and exciting conversation. Here to report back, Squarespace, the entire team was very open to our ideas. They were very collaborative and really excited to talk about new things. So before I dig into anything else in this Q&A, super important information. The term Squarespace is a trademark of Squarespace Incorporated. This video is not affiliated with Squarespace Incorporated. They are not paying me to put this live on. I am a Squarespace Circle member and I use their platform all the time for my own website and to teach other people, but I'm not affiliated with Squarespace and I also don't work for them. So this right here is not, I'm not gonna be able to answer any questions about some, I guess, future projects, you could say. I don't have insight into exactly what Squarespace is going to do because I'm not a Squarespace employee. But I'm a Squarespace user, fan of Squarespace, and I think it's safe to say after Circle Week, I'm definitely friends with some of them too. So we've got some fun stuff to cover today. Now, I have quite a few questions that people submitted ahead of time about the courses feature. I'm going to go through my list here, but please hop into the chat and ask me your question about Squarespace Courses. The overview is it's a new type of collection page. And collection page is very similar to something like a blog or an event. It's a way for us to organize content on our site. With courses, we can take people through content in a logical order. Courses have chapters, and inside those chapters, we have lessons and a lot of flexibility inside the content of those lessons. So let's dig into some of this right away. One of the first questions that someone asked, let's see here, was, what if I'm still on version 7? That question came in from Michelle. Courses is a feature only available on 7.1. If you're using an older version of Squarespace, you'll need to upgrade to use this courses collection page, just like you'll need to upgrade to use a Fluid Engine section. 7.1 is the only version getting updates since they released it over 2 years ago. So if you haven't moved over to 7.1 yet, I'd strongly consider it, especially if you'd like to offer courses. Again, it's a collection page only available on the newest feature. Sorry to break your heart there, Michelle, if you're still on version 7. So Allison asked, I have a question. When are they going to incorporate a chat feature so we can put it on our site? As far as I'm aware of, they don't have anything planned like that for the near future. There are lots of amazing plugins out there available that work with Squarespace, a lot of integrations. So definitely hop into the Squarespace forum and post in there. I bet a lot of people are wondering the exact same question you have, Allison, about a chat feature. At this time, not available in a Squarespace course, but definitely check that out. Windstar Booking just commented they're moving to 7.1 this weekend. That's very exciting. It's going to be a fun project. Consider it a site redesign. I'm so excited to see the fun stuff you create. Send me an email when you're done. Okay. I'd love to give your site a review. Awesome. All right. A question here from Lori. Let's see. Oh, nope, not that question. That wasn't a course related one. Here we go. Here's a question from someone's name who I can't pronounce, but it's a great question. Since everything got their own URL inside a course, can you share the course you bought with just anyone? Excellent question. The course I created is inside the standard, just main website navigation, the not linked section of my Squarespace website. So it's open to everyone. But you can actually set up a paywall for a course, and that's slightly a misnomer because it can also be free. But what this means when you set up this wall or this gated content is that someone has to create an account to log in and access the information. If someone goes to a URL associated with the lesson in your course, but they haven't logged in, they're going to see a lock screen or an access denied screen. This screen is going to tell them, hey, you don't have access to this content. You need to sign in to access the content. And again, this paywall or this gated area, it can still be free. I've got to stop using the term paywall. It's kind of a misnomer, but you can set up your course to be available for free so people can still navigate, but they'll need to log in. And that ties into another question that I saw in here earlier asking, let's see, if there's an option for two-step verification. Again, you can log into a profile on Squarespace to access a course. So if you create a profile for this digital product, you'll be able to log in to access this course, very similar to how you log into a member area. And on that note, not to get too confusing, but stick with me here, you can have a course, that type of collection page, inside a member area. I like to describe a member area as a folder. And inside that folder, you just have to log in to get access to it. It's like a folder that you have to show your ID to. So you can put a course inside a member area and a blog and an event page and individual pages and a portfolio of projects. Any type of content can go in a member area. But of course, as a standalone product, you can still set up that gated area so people have to log in to access it. So it's not quite two-step authentication, but it is a secure password. Now, this brings me into a very popular topic that was talked about a lot at Squarespace Circle Day during a couple of different presentations. And I really want to address this because I'm not sure if this is going to, well, I assume this is going to affect the way a lot of people host content. Let's put it that way. All right. So when you're working inside a course in Squarespace or really any other content that's behind any type of paywall or gated area, and by that I mean someone has to log in to access the content, you'll have the ability to upload files and to upload videos. Now, videos is key, and that's what we're going to focus on right here. You can upload a video that's hosted on Squarespace. Totally true. Now, there are a lot of programs out there like scraping websites that will get access to content behind a paywall. Squarespace has a great paywall system set up, that great gated area, so people can only access the content of the page once they've logged in. But to be super duper clear, when you upload a video, that video is being hosted on a Squarespace server. It's not content on the page. That video block is pulling that video from the server. That stuff is not as secure. People who are very sneaky and very uncool, because I think it's really lame that people out there try and steal content from other people or access content that they should be paying for, those programs can still get that information. It's not as protected as the content on the page. Does that make sense? The content that lives on the page, that's safe, that's secure behind that login. But if that content is pulling from a different area that's not secure, it can still be accessible by people that use those really not cool programs to scrape information they shouldn't have access to. So I hope that helps to explain it. What I'm doing with my courses, I'm redoing my Getting Started course as a course in Squarespace instead of a page inside a member area. I'm hosting my videos on Vimeo because those have a separate level of protection, and that's what I'm doing there. And also, the content on the page is secure. So if you have a lot of data or information, maybe you're sharing I don't know, CSS snippets like I do. If you put those on the page content, that is super duper secure. So if you have it on the page, it's secure. If it's pulling from another page that's not secure or another resource or server that it doesn't have that layer of security, you are potentially opening up to people sneaking around that paywall, which again, strongly discourage. I really don't like the fact that those programs exist, but not everybody out there is as awesome, as honest as we are. All right, so I hope that helps answer that question. It's a little bit technical, a little more technical than I get into with my videos here, but I think that's an important thing to talk about for people that are really concerned about security, especially people that are doing information that may be related to like medical stuff or HIPAA compliance things. There are a lot more regulations that you need to take into account. So I'd look into security if that is a really important feature for you. Personally, I'm hosting my stuff on Vimeo and linking it into courses. All right, let's pull back from the super technical stuff because I do have another question here that's about video content. When you create a course, one of the first things you're going to see inside a lesson is a video at the very top. Then we have the chapter title and the lesson title. On the course overview page and even on the sidebar, you'll see a little automatic metadata that counts the length of that video in seconds. So it'll say, hey, here's a 2-minute and 11-second video for this lesson. It'll aggregate the total all of the counts of every single video lesson underneath the chapter. It'll say this chapter, it's going to take you 8.5 minutes to get through, for example. That video is only pulled when you upload the video to the lesson. If you have additional videos and additional page sections on that lesson, that's not counted in the total. And if you don't upload a video in that total, it's not going to display a second count. So the videos are only related to what you upload to the core aspect of that lesson. That's where that video content comes from. That's where the metadata comes from. And that's only one video. Now, one of my courses, my Getting Started with Squarespace course, one of the sections gets into the site styles menu. So I have an overview of how to access site styles and kind of what you'll find in there and some pro tips on how to use it. Then I have a separate video that's specifically about colors, a separate video that's specifically about fonts, and a separate video that's specifically about spacing, image blocks, and all the other options. Those three videos won't be calculated as a part of the total because I can't upload all of them to the entire lesson core, but I can add them as supplemental videos in different page sections on that lesson. So what I'm actually doing is using a little bit of CSS to remove that metadata. I don't want it to show a count of the video content in there because I have so many other videos. That's not going to be an accurate count of the total amount of time of video for that lesson. So I hope that makes sense. Definitely high level stuff. Again, hop into your questions over here. I'm just going through the list I've got. Lots of interesting stuff going on. And I will definitely do a little behind the scenes video once my new Getting Started with Squarespace course is released. I've got the old version live now, but as we all know, Squarespace makes updates all the time. So I'm using this opportunity to unveil my new courses feature using that course. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see, we've got the chat one. We already answered that one. Let's see, we've got one more here. I think I should have gone through this in order. Okay, let's see here. So, okay, Tiberius Green asked, how will people be able to access the course if they don't take it all in one setting? You're actually creating an account, you're creating a profile, so they can go to the URL that that course is hosted on, the main URL page, and they'll be able to log in there to access the course. Or if you're like me, you can make the course public, available to anyone. Don't set up that gate or that paywall, and people can access it at any time. If you want to see my demo course that I have open right now, it's insidethesquare.co/course. There you can kind of interact with it. I wanted to make sure it was free so people could check it out without having to do any logins or authentication or anything along those lines. So it's kind of exciting stuff right there. All right, let's see here. We answered that one. Okay, check, check. Let's see. Did I hear you correctly in the video that it's one password for every student unless you put it inside another paid product? It's an interesting question. So again, it is an individual login that people will use to access the course. Now, technically, if you have a free course in the not linked or even the linked section of your site, you can set up one password that people can use to access everything. That's not really logging in. That's just like password protecting a page. If you create that gate or that, I don't want to say paywall. Again, I need to stop using that term. If you create that gate so people have to log in to access the course, whether it's free or paid to create that profile, everyone gets a unique login, just like a member area. Now, what I love about this is that forgot password button. Before we had that opportunity, let's say you just password protected a collection page on a site, you'd have the same password for everyone. If someone maybe leaves and you need to change the password, you have to tell everybody the new password. If someone forgets how to log in, you'd have to reach out to them directly. Squarespace handles all of that in a member area and a course. When they create an account, they set up their own email, their own password, and if they forget it, they just use the system to get that information. One less thing on your plate, which is pretty awesome. Okay. So I've got a couple questions rolling in here. Chris asked, can I grab a user ID when a person's logged into a member area without having to ask them for it? It's an interesting question, Chris. You can see the profile information for the person. You can see their name, the email address that they use to get that information. And you can also find information about how far in the course they've made it, what their progress is at, what lessons they've reviewed and checked complete and continue on. But that's about all the information that you've seen there. For user ID, it's not really like a randomly generated ID. It's really associated with their email. So you can definitely get that information from the profiles inside your Squarespace website. A little pro tip that I also want to recommend, you do have the option when someone's signing up for a course for them to accept marketing. I recommend making that required. If you don't make that required, legally, you can't reach out. Oh, I should say, this is not legal advice. rumor has it that you can't reach out to them to and give them information or send them updates or help them with any content inside the course after they've already signed up. They're kind of on their own. So I strongly recommend encouraging them to say accepts marketing so you can reach out to them about the content of your course if it ever changes. So to be super duper clear, this is not legal advice, but it's strongly recommended. Make that a requirement. Okay. So I've got another question here. What is a better option to offer a freebie in video format, or should we put it in the member area of a course? And then that kind of ties into Nikki's question. Can you make a course free but restrict who is able to create an account? Both very interesting questions. Okay. So let's start with the freebie first. It really depends on how you want to reach out with that freebie. One of the techniques I've seen a lot is people creating a landing page that introduces the course content, has a little video about it that says, hey, here's this stuff I'm offering to access the course, create your account. Now it's up to you. Is it going to be a paid course or a free course? But you can create a landing page that promotes the course, and then people can hop in and start accessing the course. To tie this into the marketing and the outreach, you can also send out an automated email after they've created an account using Squarespace campaigns that says, hey, here's how you access your course. So then they're not just constantly going to the landing page to try and log in. So I definitely recommend setting that up. And then for Nikki's question, if you can make a course free but restrict who's able to access it, this is a really interesting setup. I would recommend creating a course in the not linked section of your site. And if you want to restrict who can actually create an account, make that password protected. So it'll just be one universal password for anyone who goes to that page to create the account to log into their course. Again, using the landing page feature might be a great option. But if you want to restrict who can create an account to access the course, but still make it free, give them your own version of a gated area where they have one password that anyone who wants to try and create an account has to use to log in. So it won't be available on like your Instagram account or whatever, but it'll just be sent to the people that you want to create an account. So it's kind of a little workaround. I hope that information helps. Awesome. All right, let's see if we've got any other questions rolling through here. It's kind of hard to navigate the live chat, but I think I'm doing okay. Pop them into the chat. Any questions for me? I'm checking them out right now. Let's see here. We already answered this question. Lily was just wanting to verify that you can only have one main video per lesson, but then you add additional videos to additional sections. That's exactly the way that you set it up there, Lily. One main video and then additional sections. I will say, in the way that I've been working through courses, I'm not using that video feature. The layout is interesting and it's great for content that's very video based, but a lot of my content, I like to have an introduction to what it's about. I like to have supplemental materials like PDFs or Notion guides and a video as well. And I often have one or two videos, even three or four, associated with the lesson. So I'm really not utilizing that video feature very often. I will say, when I met with the Circle team and the product team developing courses, we had a big talk about the different types of content people are producing and how it's not all video based. So we do have the option to toggle off the video, which is definitely a handy thing to do. All right, let's see. Chris said, spoke to his chat support a couple of days ago. They'll charge me 7% if I put a course in the courses section. It's interesting, Chris. Course is definitely a collection page, but they're probably talking about moving that digital product to either a member area or turning on that paywall. While it's a collection page and available for free, if you're going to be doing processing, credit card processing, or any type of transaction fee, there's going to be a fee associated with it because you're needing to actually move money around. And that requires a different level of access to the software. That requires a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make sure that that transaction is not only smooth, but secure. So they do charge for that. Now, they've changed their pricing plans recently. I can't speak to pricing plans for your specific situation, but squarespace.com/pricing has some really clear information about how the pricing structure works. But I will say, from my own perspective, while it does seem like they charge a large fee to some people would consider it a large fee, they are going to charge a fee for most of these options just because of the added security. I'm not having to worry about all of the compliance issues. I'm not having to worry about credit card processors. They handle all of that security in the back end. And that's one of my favorite things about using Squarespace. I don't need 8 different accounts and plugins and things talking to each other to make sure that all the consumers purchasing from me are using a secure system. So for pricing, it's going to be different for everybody. And for your specific situation, definitely check out squarespace.com/pricing, but there will most likely be a transaction fee associated unless you're on one of the higher tiers of pricing. I think there's a pro plan that gives you a slightly different discount for high volume content. Definitely check out that information. Again, not legal advice, and I don't work for Squarespace, but as a person who uses it, that's been my experience. Okay, Chelsea asked, can you explain more why videos hosted in Squarespace is not as secure as Vimeo? Okay, so this one's kind of high level. I'm going to need you to kind of picture some stuff with me on this one, Chelsea. So I hope that this makes sense. When we're talking about accessing content inside a course, it's all of the content that's on the page is going to be secure. You have to log in to reach that content. However, if that page is reaching out to pull information from have that layer of protection, existing scraping programs to get that content for free or get access to it. When you host an image on your Squarespace website, so a great example is, let's just say I have an image on my page or on my website that just says becca.jpg. That's the file name, right? It doesn't live at inside the square.co/image or asset library /becca.jpg. It actually lives at this URL that's like static1.squarespace. Blah, blah, blah. It exists on a completely separate server than what my Squarespace website is on. So anytime it pulls up that content, it has to reach out to this extra place. This extra place, that's not as secure. That extra place doesn't need a login. Now, when we're using Vimeo, we're embedding that video on the page itself. So if I have a Vimeo link set up that says you can only access this video if it's used on the embed page, that still lives on the page. That lives on the page content. Yes, it's reaching out to Vimeo, but Vimeo has its own parameters in place that says only you can access this if it's living in this page. That's the only place you're going to be able to get that data. So because of that, I can only get that data when I'm logged into the account. Sense. Again, I don't usually get this technical. I know it's kind of complicated. If it does, it would be the best if I want to give my customers a free for my customers. I would recommend doing the same thing I recommended to Nikki, where if you only want to be for your customers, you either send them a link to a page in your site that's not linked, or send them to a link to a page on your site that's not only not linked, but is also password protected. So only your customers can actually access it with the password. The only other way to set up something like that would be to like manually add the member and send them an auto email saying, hey, I created you an account. You need to change the password to make it yours. That's really not a safe and secure way to do it. So I don't really recommend doing that. I would say set up a course that's free and make sure it's accessible only if they know the password, be it password protecting the main course overview page or a landing page where they have to create that profile, but they can only do it if they type in the password first. So use a little bit of a workaround using the password protection that's on the page level inside Squarespace. All right, let's see here. Leslie asked if I can speak to a comparison of Squarespace courses with Google courses. Interesting question, Leslie. I have zero experience with Google courses, but I will nerd out super hard over that. I will check that out once I hop off this live. I think that would be a great YouTube video. I want to do one, hopefully it's in the works, as in it's on my to-do list, and that's as far as I've gotten. But I'd love to do a comparison video of both Teachable and Kajabi and Podia. That was the third one. So I'll have to add Google courses to that list. I'd love to do a comparison of Squarespace courses versus that. If you have a suggestion, let me know in the comments. If there's another course program or platform that you use, we'll do a little comparison video for Squarespace. I think it'd be a super fun way for me to spend my weekend is recording some new ideas about that because I'm a nerd and I think that's fun. Okay. Awesome. Who else likes to spend their weekend doing fun stuff like that? Just me? All right. What else do we have here? Let's see. Uli was asking, what do I do if I want my customers to get different courses over time that are still free? Love this question. This is a great setup for a members area, Uli, because in a members area, I mentioned in the beginning of the video, that's kind of like a folder. That's really all it is. It's just a folder that you have to log in to access. I would recommend having your customers create a profile for a member area. So when you want to release new content to them, you just drag it and drop it into that member area folder when you're ready for them to have access to it. Then you don't have to recreate everything inside a course. Then you can have links to external content. You've got anything you want inside that member area. You can even schedule things like saying an event on this particular day, this course is going to be live. And then as soon as that event happens, you make it scheduled so it's actually live inside that member area. Again, it's a folder that can hold all kinds of content for a Squarespace site. So definitely check that out. Awesome. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to make sure that I've got the chat set up properly here so I can see any other questions that have come in. I think we're good to go. If I didn't get to your question, let me know. Oops, wrong button. There we go. Okay. If I didn't get to your question, let me know in the chat. We're reaching almost 25 minutes here. I guess one last quick overview before we call it a day. Sound good? All right, let's do it. One last quick overview. Courses is a brand new feature available in Squarespace. It's technically a collection page. Now, you can offer a course for free. And if you offer a free course, it can be accessible to literally anyone. You can also set up kind of a gated area for a course where people have to create a profile to log in and access the content. Inside a course, here's how it's structured: your main course overview page. That's going to have page sections above and below the content, but the core of it, that course overview, is going to be the title of your course, a progress bar, and a list of chapters with lessons. Now, each chapter is again like a folder. These chapters are just the title of the chapter, and inside there is where the lesson content is. A lesson can have a title, it can have a description, it can have a video associated with it, but it can also have multiple page sections underneath the lesson. For every single lesson, you'll find a complete and continue button. As soon as someone who's accessing the course clicks that complete and continue button, they'll be taken on to the next lesson and their progress is tracked. If you had them create an account, you'll be able to see in your profiles in Squarespace how much progress someone has made on the course associated with their specific account. Now, on the chapters, as far as the chapter overview, as well as the new sidebar that helps you navigate through things, you'll see a little metadata aggregation that shows you the amount of video time that's inside that specific lesson, also totaled for the chapter, as well as the total number of lessons in that chapter. We can use a little bit of CSS to hide that. I'll add it to the description here because that's what I've used in my own course. And if you want to interact with the course, head on over to insidethesquare.co/course. There you can check out my free course on courses. I also have a course creation checklist, which was a lot of fun to put together. Tips if you don't really know where to start. Everything from like brainstorming your course to a list of the content you'll need to have. Lots of fun stuff to check out. Let's see here. One last question just popped in from Uli. I don't have to pay anything if the course is behind the gate, but free, right? Correct. If it's set up as a free course on your Squarespace website, like mine is, it's just a collection page and you won't have to pay anything extra. I will say that's my particular setup. I have a very high level of Squarespace subscription. They could have changed this since I last looked at it because, again, I don't work for Squarespace. So please check out squarespace.com/pricing to find some specific detailed information about your specific setup. I don't work for Squarespace. The content in this video is subject to change based on when they change their minds and do stuff differently. But as of right now, I've got that collection page set up in the not linked section of my site so anyone can access it for free. So I hope that information helps. Lots of good stuff to cover about courses. Again, I'll have a link in the description to my free course if you want to try interacting with it. It'll help you set one up. I need a sip of water. I rarely talk this long in one go, but this was a lot of fun. We're hitting almost 30 minutes here. Thank you so much for watching this. If you missed the live Q&A but you still have a question, hop in the chat and let me know. I spend every morning out in the backyard watching my dog run around, sipping my coffee, answering YouTube comments. It's kind of how I start my day. So hop in the chat here on this particular live video and ask me your course question. And definitely keep an eye on my channel. I'll be posting those comparison videos hopefully this weekend. That's going to be a lot of fun to do. And last but not least, you can grab my course creation checklist and interact with the course, see what it's like insidethesquare.co/course. Thank you so much for joining me, hopping in here and with the questions. We've got Chris and Nikki and Chelsea and Uli. So many people asked some awesome questions. If I didn't call you out, let me know. Thank you again for participating. All of you, I genuinely appreciate the fact that you're here and interested in learning more about Squarespace. As you know, it's one of my favorite things to work with on the internet, and I love sharing tips and tricks and all my weekly tutorials with you. So thanks for participating and for watching this video at any point in time. I sincerely appreciate it. One last time, ask me in the chat if you have any questions, and I will reply as soon as I can. Thanks again for watching, and most importantly, have fun with your Squarespace website. Bye for now.